the open enrollment period for ACA is over. Now what? Well, here to talk with us about that is Jae Oh, author of Maximize Your Medicare. Jae, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
Pleasure. So, open enrollment is over for the Affordable Care Act. What are folks? Now what?
There are still special enrollment periods available, and this is a key thing, which is the key criteria, however, is that if you've had ACA compliant health insurance coverage, whether that be your individual plan or from your employer, if you lose that coverage, for example, you've had insurance, you move to a new location, that's a special enrollment period, a life qualifying event. Then you do have the unrestricted right to switch to another ACA compliant plan. You would have to provide evidence, proof that you have been covered at the time that you've lost your coverage, but then you do have windows in order to apply to a new plan that is ACA compliant. That can also occur, for example, if you become ineligible for health insurance provided by an employer, whether you've lost your job or your hours have declined to make you ineligible. At that point in time, then you do have the right to enroll in the individual market, the Affordable Care Act compliant plans, and receive the APTC, which is Advanced Premium Tax Credit, to lower your premium deductible out-of-pocket maximum. Again, there are deadlines along those and a number of different technical points, but those pathways certainly exist.
Yeah. So, a couple questions. For someone who might be on COBRA and that COBRA is expiring, they would have the opportunity to enroll in an ACA plan at that point once their COBRA is expired.
Sure, we've spoken about this in the past, that generally speaking, it's my thought, my first recommendation to people is the moment that they are told that their access to employer-sponsored coverage is ending in any way, meaning that reduction in hours, for example, that right at that point in time, they'll be offered COBRA, but they should compare that to what exists in the world. Because under COBRA, while you'll have the continuation of coverage, you'll be responsible for 100% of the premium plus an administrative fee unless you've arranged separately for your prior employer to basically compensate you for the premium, because the sticker price will be high for employer-sponsored plans that you have to pay for the entire premium.
Yeah. So, one other topic that came to mind, I recently read that now there is a record number of people enrolled in ACA plans. Any commentary about where we stand with respect to ACA and what it's done?
Well, I think that certainly with the pandemic, with all of the debate around the Affordable Care Act, which is, incredibly, now 10 years old, is the idea that the number of carriers has increased across the landscape in every state. Generally speaking, that there's been an improvement in the number of different plans, and you could actually say too many plans to some. You can easily find many locations in the country with over 100 plans per available in your location. But the idea that the APTC, for those persons who have correctly understood it, to people who have correctly utilized it, no question about it that it has pushed down the effective premium for health insurance in the individual market, and it has made the pathway to retirement, for example, for those persons who are nearing the age of Medicare eligibility. For those years prior to that, that the Affordable Care Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the Advanced Premium Tax Credit, when combined with one another, have made early retirement a possibility.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Probably the number one question I received before ACA became the law of the land was, I am pre-Medicare, I've been laid off, or I've taken early retirement, and what should I do about my health insurance? And now the answer is, for many, ACA.
That is true. That's absolutely the case, Bob, that because the health insurance cost is so high for someone, let's just say in their early 60s, $1,000 a month is the full sticker price, if you will, per person in many locations in the country, that any solution to this is can be daunting and expensive. So our conversations, I've been appreciative of, the time that, we've spent so that people can examine, can know that there can be options available if they do the proper work, if they understand the rules.
Yeah. Well, Jay, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
My only comment here is that it's very important that people understand that they've had to have Affordable Care Act insurance in the past. For example, someone says, well, I've become unmarried, for example. Does that by itself allow me to, once you become unmarried, can I then just enroll in an Affordable Care Act plan? The answer is you can, if and only if you've had health insurance in the past. That then becomes a key component, a reason that people will want to keep current with their health insurance premiums so that you can have these extra enrollment periods, extra exceptions if you experience a life qualifying event.
Well, Jay, as always, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. It's greatly appreciated.
My privilege, Bob. Thank you.